It is Tuesday, March 18th, 2025, and another rogue federal agency or entity, the Institute of Peace, has been liberated by Elon and Doge last night. DC police needing to drag its former president from the building. Wait till you see this. These people are nuts. Also, today is the day 80,000 previously classified JFK documents supposed to be released. Trump saying there must be no redactions. Thank you, Tulsi Gabbard, and more stories as well from around the country. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. So last month, on February 19th, President Trump signed an EO aimed at reducing the size and bloat of the federal government. Under this presidential directive, the administration has been winding down several federal agencies and different entities, and top of the list was the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. We all know about that, the deep state's slush fund, but they didn't stop there. Last night, another one bit the dust. USIP, the U.S. Institute of Peace, just like USAID, being run semi-independently, but still using our tax dollars to function, purposely doing it that way so it can avoid oversight. And for the last 29 days, this agency has been ignoring President Trump's directive, refusing to comply. The U.S. Institute of Peace ignoring Trump's directive for the entire last month. The board simply ignoring him. Well, Trump found out yesterday. And in a matter of one day, not even a full day, Trump implemented a hostile takeover of the organization. He had 11 of the board members removed from their posts, the remaining board members falling in line and appointing Kenneth Jackson as acting president, who then, get this, got in this big Suburban with members of the Doge team, and they headed over to USIP's headquarters in D.C. And what happened next was incredible. Get this, they arrived yesterday evening, and the president and CEO, who was just terminated, refused to allow them entry to the building, ordering building security to lock them out. This all just happened last night. Corporate media began running headlines like these. Look at this, suggesting Elon Musk and Doge had broken into the building. In reality, what really happened, the terminated president and CEO, George Moose, this guy, held the building hostage for hours, denied the newly appointed president, Kenneth Jackson, entry to the building. Doge posting an update on X saying, Mr. Moose denied lawful access to Kenneth Jackson, the acting USIP president, as approved by their board. DC Police Department then had to arrive on site and escort Mr. Jackson into the building. The only unlawful individual here was Mr. Moose, who refused to comply and even tried to fire USIP's private security team when said security team went to give access to Mr. Jackson. These people are nuts. Another swamp creature caught kicking and screaming, refusing to leave. Here's video from last night of the DC police arriving. This morning, Kenneth Jackson and Doge beginning to shut down this rogue entity, and it's not the only one. Last week, they began shutting down the U.S. Agency for Global Media, which is what Voice of America falls under. There's just so many tentacles. They're chopping them off one by one. In another story, today is the day. The long-awaited JFK files will be released in full today, this afternoon, with hopefully no redactions. President Trump will be giving an address in the Oval Office shortly during the release. What secrets will be availed this afternoon? I don't know. 80,000 documents, classified or previously redacted documents, are supposed to all be released. What we want to know is why. Three former presidents pressured to keep these documents secret, to extend the secrecy. Why did Mike Pompeo, Trump's old CIA director and Secretary of State, personally ask Trump to keep them secret? Trump wanted to release them during his first term, but Pompeo stepped in and prevented it. Why? What is in those remaining documents? That's what I want to know. Will we find out today? Well, if Trump has anything to say about it, we will. Here he was yesterday reminding his DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, there can be no redactions in today's release. Watch this.
We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this. And I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard. And that's going to be released tomorrow. We have a tremendous amount of paper. You've got a lot of reading. I don't believe we're going to redact anything. I said, just don't redact. You can't redact. But we're going to be releasing the JFK files, and that would be tomorrow. Do you have anything else to add to that, Carolyn? So that's a big announcement. They've been waiting for that for decades. Then I said during the campaign I'd do it, and I'm a man of my word. So tomorrow you have the JFK files. What time will they be released? Tomorrow afternoon. Okay.
Have you seen what's in the files? Have you read them?
I've heard about them.
Was there,
Interesting?
It's going to be very interesting.
was there an executive summary supplied to you, Mr. President?
No, I'm not doing summaries. You'll write your own summaries. It's many pages. Is it 80,000 pages? Approximately 80,000 pages. So it's a lot of stuff. And you'll make your own determination.
Who knows? Will we find out the CIA was involved in Kennedy's assassination? JFK wanted to get rid of the CIA. He had a disdain for secrecy. He hated secrecy. He warned us weeks before his assassination. He warned us, the American people, about government secrecy, about secret societies, that it's pervasive inside of our government. Listen to this, and keep in mind, this was his speech weeks before he was assassinated. Watch this.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.
In another story, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has promoted IRS whistleblowers Gary Shapley and Joseph Ziegler to leadership roles within the U.S. Treasury Department. These two individuals were the IRS investigators who blew the whistle on Joe Biden covering up his son's tax evasion. That happened 2 years ago, and after blowing the whistle, these two guys faced harsh retaliation from the IRS. They were fired, they were ostracized, lost their benefits, were being threatened and harassed with criminal prosecution. Think about that. Just for coming forward and telling Congress how Joe Biden improperly shut down the tax evasion case, that's the repercussions they faced from their own agency. Well, today, Trump's Treasury Secretary just hired them back to investigate the IRS. How amazing is that? Scott Bessent telling reporters yesterday they will investigate the wrongdoing happening inside the IRS, that Shapley will serve as senior deputy for investigation and enforcement, and to make sure the IRS never harasses anyone again over political differences. This is great. Watch.
The culture of being able to come forward when you see wrongdoing is a central part of our democracy. I saw these two fellows before the president's address to Congress in Speaker Johnson's office. They came over to me and said, you know, sir, we're still being harassed. And I had been in touch with Senator Grassley about what was happening to them, but seeing them in person really brought it home for me. So I went and decided I would bring them into Treasury, give them a year to investigate the wrongdoing that's going on at the IRS, and then they will go back in. Mr. Shapley will serve as the senior deputy for investigations and enforcement. So we'll have them in Treasury. We'll learn what's been going on at the IRS, what's been wrong, how could this Hunter Biden nonsense have happened, and we're going to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone again, whether they're Republicans, Democrats, or independents.
Meanwhile, Hunter Biden lost his Secret Service detail last night after President Trump learned 18 Secret Service agents have been following Hunter around the world, protecting him on the taxpayer's dime, all in a day's work, folks. This is great. Trump found out about this yesterday morning from a reporter's question. Then by midnight last night, this morning, all 18 Secret Service agents were back on a plane back to D.C. Watch.
There were 18 Secret Service agents protecting Hunter Biden in South Africa this weekend. Who's paying for that? And do you plan to revoke the Secret Service protection?
Well, we have done that with many. I would say if there are 18 with Hunter Biden, that will be something I'll look at this afternoon. Okay?
Sir?
I just heard about it for the first time. So you have 18 Secret Service going. Where is he exactly?
In South Africa.
In South Africa. And South Africa, you know, is on a watch list. You know that. Because what they're doing to people is brutal. And I've stopped having money go to South Africa. You know that. Billions of dollars. So he's in South Africa. That's very interesting. All right.
This morning, Hunter Biden posting this short clip of himself. Not sure what it's supposed to mean, I guess to show he's got no Secret Service around him. Currently, Hunter's in South Africa, filmed last night dining with Trump hater Ellen DeGeneres, going on safari, of which, again, 18 Secret Service agents had to follow him on. We were paying for this. Trump posting on Truth Social last night, Hunter Biden has had Secret Service protection for an extended period of time, all paid for by the United States taxpayer. There are as many as 18 people on his detail, which is ridiculous. He's currently vacationing in, of all places, South Africa, where the human rights of people has been strenuously questioned. Because of this, South Africa has been taken off our list of countries receiving economic and financial assistance. Please be advised that effective immediately, Hunter Biden will no longer receive Secret Service protection. Likewise, Ashley Biden, who has 13 agents, will also be taken off the list. In another story, mainstream media continuing to push the false narrative that the Trump administration's ignoring a district court judge's orders to block the White House from using the Alien Enemies Act, yelling about a constitutional crisis. All of this began a few nights ago. On Saturday night, an Obama-appointed judge, James Josberg, attempted to block the White House from using the Alien Enemies Act from 1798 to deport Tren de Aragua gang members. Why would a district court judge intervene in deporting foreign gang members? Because they want to slow walk, delay Trump's deportation policy as long as possible, even if that means keeping the worst of the worst in this country. It's nuts. This is the same gang, by the way, who took over whole apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado last year. Trump posting on Truth Social this morning saying this radical left lunatic of a judge, a troublemaker, an agitator who was sadly appointed by Barack Hussein Obama, was not elected president. He didn't win the popular vote. He didn't win all 7 swing states. He didn't win anything. I won for many reasons in an overwhelming mandate, but fighting illegal immigration may have been the number one reason for this historic victory. I'm just doing what the voters wanted me to do. This judge, like many of the crooked judges I'm forced to appear before, should be impeached. We don't want vicious, violent, demented criminals, many of them deranged murderers, in our country. Make America great again. The media now up in arms, claiming we're witnessing a constitutional crisis in real time because the White House, they say, ignored this district court judge's order. Well, watch how quickly they lose the plot when speaking to Trump's deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller. Watch him unpack this and chop down their argument piece by piece. Roll the tape.
Does that mean that the administration is ignoring this order, and might you ignore future court orders that meet the criteria you laid out?
The President of the United States and his administration reserve all rights under the Constitution to conduct national security operations in defense of the United States. The Alien Enemies Act, which was passed into law by the founding generation of this country, men like John Adams, was written explicitly to give the President the authority to repel an alien invasion of the United States. That is not something that a district court judge has any authority whatsoever to interfere with, to enjoin, to restrict, or to restrain any way. You can read the law yourself. There's not one clause in that law that makes it subject to judicial review, let alone district court review.
So, Stephen, when you say that this person has no authority at all, this is how our system works. It starts with these judges and then continues up. At what point does it become, in your view, legal for the justice system to be looking at this and making a judgment? And I fail to see how there's any other way but to start with where we're starting here before you get to eventually the Supreme Court.
Well, so first of all, there's a term in law, justiciable. This is not justiciable. In other words, this is not subject to judicial remedy. When the President is exercising his Article II powers to defend the country against an invasion or to repel a foreign terrorist that is unlawfully in the country, he's exercising his core Article II powers as Commander-in-Chief.
Is Venezuela invading the U.S.?
This is a very important point. This is a Title 50 authority. It's a Commander-in-Chief authority. So just to ask you a simple question, you talk about how the system works. Does a district court judge have the right to direct or enjoin troop movements overseas? Yes or no?
Well, Stephen, my question...
Well, no,
if you could answer my question first,
in other words,
is Venezuela invading our country in a way that would apply this way?
So I'll answer yours and you'll answer mine. Under the terms of the statute, Tren de Aragua is an alien enemy force that has come here as detailed at length in the proclamation at the direction of the Venezuelan government. The statute says that a president has the ability to repel an invasion or predatory incursion that is directed by a foreign
state
government.
or a government, right? Are they a state or a government?
This would be, yes, it is documented that TDA was sent by the Venezuelan government in the proclamation. And here's an even more important point. Under the Constitution, who makes that determination? A district court judge elected by no one, or the Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy? The President and the President alone makes a decision of what triggers that determination.
So do you then
in the
think we
statute.
are actually at war with Venezuela, the nation state of Venezuela?
You're not hearing me and you're not understanding me. Read the statute, Alien Enemies Act, 1798. It says if a predatory incursion is perpetrated by a foreign government, so it lists three qualifying actions. It could be an act of war.
It does say in the very beginning there has to be a declared war against a nation or a state. That's what it says.
No, wrong. Look up the statute. It's on my account on social media.
That's actually where we
Everyone
found
can
it
go see
earlier.
Yes. It says, or a predatory incursion, or an invasion. The statute delineates three criteria for triggering the Alien Enemies Act. One is an act of war, which, by the way, an invasion is an act of war, but put that aside. One is an invasion, which this is. One is a predatory incursion, which this is. So it actually meets all three statutory criteria, but with respect to this particular statute, the proclamation is utilizing the incursion and invasion language in the statute. But this is a very important question, because no, hold on. It's a very important question. You said the way our system works is the President of the United States commands the armed forces of the country, commands the foreign policy of the country, and that's subject to district court review. That is fundamentally untrue.
I never said that, Stephen. I did not say...
That has never been true.
All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.